and documentation HACCP, BNSP 2016, and sensory analysis specialist 2024. So there is a many experience from Dr. Mita. Yeah, now, all right, without further delay, I now hand open the session to our moderator. Please, Dr. Mita, time is yours.
Thank you, Bu Aldila. Hello everyone, welcome to the main session of the International Guest Lecture on Sustainable Food Technology Innovation. In this session, we are honored to have two great speakers who will share their expertise in food science and technology. This session will begin with presentation from both speakers, each speakers for 20 minutes, followed by discussion session. If you have any question, please take notes or type them in the chat box, and we will address them during the discussion session. Now, it is my honor to introduce our first esteemed speaker, Dr. Nurhuda Fauzan. She is an expert in food science and microbial technology. She was born in Kuala Lumpur, Selangor. She earned her bachelor degree in food science and nutrition from UKM in 2001, and she continued her studies at the same university and complete her master degree in food science in 2004. Dr. Nurhuda started her career as a tutor in USIM in 2003, and in 2004 she pursued her PhD in microbial biotechnology at UPM Malaysia. She is now a senior lecturer at USIM, where she has been teaching for almost 15 years. She has published over 30 research papers in top scientific journal with more than 1,000 citations. She has also supervised 15 postgraduate students and nearly 100 undergraduate students, mainly in meat science and probiotics. Besides teaching, she is active in writing, academic competition, and public lectures. We are honored to have her here today. Please welcome Dr. Nurhuda. Time is yours. Thank you, Doctor. Please, Dr. Nurhuda, can you share the slide?
Pas mereka alasan itu kan aku kayak
Can I start? Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Can you see my slide there?
Yes, we can, Doctor.
So can I start? Bismillah. Clear? The slide. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good morning to everyone.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam Ramadan. Can you hear my voice? Isn't it?
Yes.
Here, isn't it?
Yes.
Jelas, Yeah. So I'm here to share about the topic of potentials of stem mushroom as fiber-rich food in food security. I'm Dr. Nurhuda binti Haji Faujan, actually from Food Biotechnology Program, Faculty Science Technology, University Science Islam Malaysia. Even though the MC have introduced me, so this is my photo actually. I'm graduated, I'm PhD holder from the UPM, okay, in microbial biotechnology, and also a master and bachelor's science from UKM in food science and nutrition. So basically my expertise in food science, mainly in meat product, sensory analysis, food antioxidant, and probiotic bacteria. If you want to know further about my research, you also can look my research gate. My name Nurhuda Faujan, and also my Google Scholar with the name of Nurhuda Haji Faujan. Okay, so you can search all my research and my paper there. Okay, just introduce. Where is the USIM? Basically, my before my lecture, I will introduce USIM first. After introduce myself, okay, so let you know about the USIM. Okay, so University Science Islam Malaysia here is actually very near to KLIA or Kuala Lumpur International Airport. If you come to Malaysia, okay, KLIA is international airport, so just 20 minutes or 30 minutes from KLIA. Okay, University Science Islam Malaysia. I think USIM is the nearest public university to KLIA. Yeah, even though UPM, UKM, a little bit far from KLIA. So just take Grab or taxi there, go to USIM. Okay. So this is the main gate in USIM. Okay, if you go to the USIM, you can see the Chancellery building here. Okay, and ICROC logo here. It means that reading or bacalah in the Malaysia in Malay kan. So this is my faculty, which is Faculty Science and Technology. Actually, the Faculty of Science and Technology is at the back of the USIM, but it's well known by yellow building here. So just a little bit about USIM. I think Dr. Haslina have gone to the USIM last time, isn't it, Dr. Haslina? Okay, it's very nice place. Okay, very peaceful place, and so on. Okay. Okay. Today I just want to share my research and study lah about mushroom stem. Okay. And its potential to be incorporating in meat product, especially. Okay. So this is the outline of my sharing today. What is mushroom? I think all of you know what is actually mushroom and what is actually the uniqueness of the mushroom stem and the nutritional composition of the mushroom stem. In fact, in this sharing, I will share to you about the grey oyster mushroom stem, ataupun kita panggil sebagai cendawan tiram kelabu, or sometime in Indonesia, I think it's called as jamur, isn't it? Cendawan. Okay. Cendawan jamur tiram kelabu. Ataupun abang-abang, isn't it? So yeah. So this is the so what is the potential of the incorporating this mushroom stem in the meat product? Okay. So as we all know that mushroom is actually consumed by people in around the world. And mushroom, and this is the various type of mushroom here, is a fleshy, spore-bearing, fruiting body of a fungus. Actually, a mushroom is classified as a fungus, and that recognized by stem. This is a stem or stip, sometimes called a stip, the cap. This is the cap and gills. Okay. So mushroom have been consumed since ancient time and a long years ago, and that can be classified into three main categories, which are edible mushroom, medicinal mushroom, and wild mushroom. So edible mushroom, if you look at here, is about 54%. And at least in the world, there are 12,000 mushroom species, and 35 of them has been commercially grown. Why is mushroom? Because a mushroom are regarded as one of the healthier ingredients due to the nutritive, bioactive, and therapeutic value. And it has value crop that has grown intensively in the world. As in fact, grey oyster mushroom has been grown about 90.89%. In Malaysia, the grey oyster mushroom is ideal to be grown because of the agroclimatic condition.
Mata nih kameraku on cam terus aja kita temet.
In fact, mushroom can be added into the meat product because of the texture is mimics to the meat product, and we can consider as an analog. And the taste and the flavor of the mushroom also are unique, and they have umami flavor. So in 2019 and 2021, Asia actually contribute 95.54% of the world production of the mushroom. So if you look at the mushroom farming, they just use less land, less agricultural waste, and no waste gas and water rather than animal farming. So if you look at here, mushroom are ideal to the circular economic concept, and it minimizes the pressure on the environment. In fact, mushroom grows with byproduct, rice straw, wood chips, wheat straw, and livestock as a substrate. And this mushroom farming is actually one of the less carbon intensive vegetables, and it supports sustainability. Okay, we go to the mushroom market. In Walmart, mushroom market is expected to reach 20.84 million ton by 2026. Okay, so this is driven by because of the great interest of mushroom consumption, health concern, and also low production as well as medicinal properties. Okay, this is various type of mushroom. We have button mushroom, we have white mushroom, enoki mushroom, and so on. Okay.
In progress.
In terms of nutritional aspect, okay, mushroom actually high quality protein source because they contain most of essential amino acid. Okay, low sodium, low calorie, low glucose, but mushroom contain high fiber, contain vitamins and mineral compared to the animal source. And the most important thing is mushroom contain antioxidants and also antimicrobial. So sometimes studies found that product that added with the mushroom, the shelf life are better than without the mushroom. Okay. So if you look at the market, right now, many of the meat product like chicken sausage, chicken burger, or beef burger, they add with the mushroom because they will provide the umami taste and also the flavor, because the flavor is actually slightly similar to the meat product. Okay. So this is what I said just now. The addition of mushroom in muscle food actually mimics the texture with the meat analog. Okay, they have also positively affects the appearance, flavor, overall acceptance, and shelf life of the product. Okay, this is the mushroom when they add to the meat. Okay, they have the texture mimics to the meat product. However, the problem is in mushroom industry, the problem is most of the mushroom stems are often discarded as waste due to their tough texture. Because if you compare the cap and the stem texture is very tough rather than the cap. People always consume the cap. Okay, the stem normally in the house also people do not like to consume the stem of the mushroom. So in the mushroom farming, the mushroom stem also the leftover of the mushroom stem mainly go to the landfill, and this is will affect the leaches and also the ecosystem of the landfill. And this lead to the problem in agro-industrial waste management. So amount of the waste, especially in of the mushroom stem, is range between 5 and 20% of total production. This subject to the size of the mushroom farm, resulting in about 50,000 metric ton of waste material annually. And this is the figure of the mushroom stem waste. They primarily accumulate comprised of the stem and also irregular shape of the mushroom. Normally in the market, they just select the good shape of the cap and also the good shape of the stem. But most of the stem that do not meet the standards, they will throw away as a waste. Okay. So food consumption is, in fact, in the future, food consumption is expected to rise by 70% in 2050 as the world population will be expanded by 2.3 billion people. So thus, mushroom stem could be an alternative for the food shortage and food security. So this is a 70 Sustainable Development Goal or SDG. If we look at the SDG number 2, which focus on the zero hunger, mushroom stem can improve food security and increase the availability of mushroom as functional foods over fresh one. And it also can be related to the SDG 12, which responsible consumption and production significantly contribute to the global food security, which the involvement from both parties, which are mushroom grower and industrial player. Okay. In Islamic perspective, it is forbidden to waste any natural or being extravagance. Allah have mentioned about the obligation of Muslim to use the resource, foods in balance and measured quantities. For example, in Surah Al-A'raf, verse 31, وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا وَلَا تُسْرِفُوا إِنَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُسْرِفِينَ. It means that eat and drink, but do not waste. Surely, he does not like the wasteful. Okay, Rasulullah SAW also passed by Sa'ad while he was performing ablution. the Prophet Rasulullah Sallam said, what is this abrogance? Science said, is the abrogance which water in ablutions? The Rasulullah Sallam said, yes, even if you were on the bank of a flowing river. So this shows that space has a significant impact on the ecosystem and has the potential to produce major issues for the globe and its inhabitants. It's conserving resources will add in the reduction of unwanted waste through 3 Rs: reduce, reuse, recycle concepts. Indeed, plant-based waste material as functional food ingredient actually has gained popularity, especially in the meat product, because it will be able to improve the physicochemical properties, nutritional value, and also sensory acceptance. And this also can contribute to the circular economy and environmental protection. In fact, mushroom stem is one of the best potential halal ingredient and also ways to be used in the meat product. This is a good choice for those who want to adopt a more sustainable diet but still want to consume meats. Okay, this we call as flexitarian's approach. Okay, just want to share my study about the nutritional composition of mushroom stem. In this context, I focus on the grey oyster mushroom stem. Okay. So if you look at this table, okay, it was found that the stem of the grey oyster mushroom, this is the stem, okay, and this is the cap of the grey oyster mushroom. It was found that the stem of grey oyster mushroom contain higher total dietary fiber than the cap, okay, especially in the insoluble dietary fiber. Okay, almost half of the stem contain dietary fiber rather than the cap. So this is beneficial. This is benefit to the food producer, especially to include the stem, which is considered as the food or food waste in the food product, especially in meat product, because in meat product normally they don't have fiber. They just contain protein. Okay? They just contain protein, but no fiber or lack fiber at all. Okay? So they also have contain fats here. Okay, fats here. But in terms of fats, okay, if you look at the stem and caps, okay, the stem of the grey oyster mushroom contain contain omega-6, which is actually PUFA, classified as PUFA, polyunsaturated fatty acid, which human body needs. Okay, in the stem also contain linoleic acids. Okay, stearic acid. Linoleic acid is actually essential fatty acid. This means that if you look at this, compare stem and cap, okay, a stem they contain more fiber. Okay, in sharing here, I focus on the fiber, fiber and fats. Okay, mostly fiber. Okay, insoluble dietary fiber. Okay, so this is a potential. We have a potential to be incorporate the stem of the mushroom in the meat product. Okay, because in fact human they like to consume plant-based material because of the 3 factor. Even although they are flexitarian means they actually consume meats, but they consume plant-based ingredient food more than meat ingredients. Okay. However, vegetarians, they don't consume animal meats, but vegans, actually, they don't consume animal product. Okay, very strict to consume animal product. So this is, I just sharing our studies, okay, about addition of the grey oyster mushroom stem in chicken patty. Actually, this is a hybrid chicken patty. Hybrids means that you add certain ingredient like plant-based ingredient and chicken-based ingredients. Okay, so if you look at here, as increasing of the grey oyster mushroom stem, okay, the crude fiber of the product increase, it significantly increase rather than the control without the grey oyster mushroom stem. It's that there is no added fiber here, even though they have fiber, is very little, or sometimes the fiber may get from the other ingredient rather than the meat itself, from the starch, TVP, and so on, isolated soya protein, and so on. Okay, in terms of fat, if you look at here, also increase, but most probably it will be expect that the fat contained in this chicken patty, hybrid chicken patty, is come from the PUFA, or polyunsaturated fatty acids. So this is what we want in our meat product, high fiber meat product. Okay. So this is the microstructure of the cooked patty added with different level of grey oyster mushroom stem. Okay, using fish salmon. Okay, if you look at here, the structure of the formulation with added with grey oyster mushroom stem show less than matrix than the control patty. This is the control patty without the grey oyster mushroom stem, and this is by due to the less protein content and high moisture value in the grey oyster mushroom stem based patty, because in the grey oyster mushroom stem, they contain insoluble fiber. So this insoluble fiber actually absorb and trap water in the gel network, and they're able to retain moisture in the matrix ingredients. And this will resulting in juicier patty and also softer texture than the control patty. Okay. This I just want to share plant-based chicken nuggets, our studies. Plant-based chicken nuggets actually do not contain the chicken. Okay, but this control is commercial control. Okay, and this one, the plant-based chicken nugget contain grey oyster mushroom stem and formulate with chickpea flour. Okay, if we look at here, the crude fiber of the plant chicken-based nugget with grey oyster mushroom stem and chickpea flour increase contain high crude fiber rather than the commercial chicken nugget. The commercial chicken nugget is actually chicken nugget in the market. Okay. So this shows the mushroom stem have a potential to be added in meat product to enhance the fiber content. Okay. In terms of sensory acceptance, this is the sensory acceptance of cooked patties at different level of grey oyster mushroom stem. It was found that consumer actually have similar, it's slightly similar to the control patty here, zero gray oyster mushroom shrimp. This is chicken patty. If you look at they have similar, no significant difference with the formulation B, C, and D, but overall the chicken with 10 gray oyster mushroom stem have the highest sensory acceptance of the patty acceptance. Okay. So before I end up my sharing, we just show that actually mushroom is halal, so there is no issue if you want to add to the product. Okay. Since the Al-Quran says that kulu mimma fil ardi halalan thayyiban, makanlah dari apa yang ada di bumi yang halal di baik. So if you look at the mushroom, okay, even the cap and the stem is halal, and there is no doubtful to add in food formulations. Okay. So I can conclude that it was proven that the stem of the grey oyster mushroom contains significantly higher total dietary fiber, okay, and insoluble fiber compared to the cap. Okay, if you look at here, it means that half of the dietary fiber contained in the stem, and thus the stem of the mushroom, especially grey of the mushroom, has great potential as a partial substitute for chicken meat or plant-based meat product due to its high nutritional value, particularly fiber, insoluble fiber, and also healthy fat. And thus, this can be incorporated mushroom stem into meat product and can help reduce food waste while promoting global food security issue. Okay, this is just a reference for my presentations. And with that, thank you very much and shukran for hear my sharing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. That was an insightful presentation from Dr. Nurhuda Fauzan. However, please participant, if you have any question, please keep them, note or type them in the chat box, and we will address them during the discussion session. Now we will proceed our second speaker, Dr. Bambang Kunarto, and after this session, we have discussion session. Dr. Bambang Kunarto will present on the potential of parijoto as a source of anthocyanin pigments in foods. First, let me introduce our second great guest lecturer today, Dr. Bambang, a distinguished scholar in agricultural product technology and food science. He is faculty member at the Agricultural Product Technology Study Program, Faculty of Agricultural Product, Universitas Semarang. Dr. Bambang complete his undergraduate, master, and doctoral degree at Universitas Gadjah Mada, UGM, Yogyakarta, specializing in agricultural product technology and food science. His research focused on the extraction and nanoencapsulation of plant materials and the evaluation of their antioxidant properties. Beyond research, Dr. Bambang has made significant contribution to academic literature, publishing several books on the topics black tea processing, coffee decaffeination, vanilla processing, and herbal food technology. His expertise in food chemistry and functional food ingredients has greatly enriched the field. We are privileged to have him with us today. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Bambang. Please, Dr. Bambang, time is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Mita. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everybody. My name is Bambang Kun. I came from Agriculture Technologies, Semarang University. I want to present my research about of Parijoto fruit, and the focus is the potential of Parijoto as a source of anthocyanin, pigment in food. In the first, I want to show an illustration of the Parijoto plant and fruit. The center of the image is a Parijoto fruit that was harvested in 3 months after flowering. Bisa ya? Bisa. Kembali. Yang tadi, the left is plant of Parijoto, the right Parijoto plant 2. Next, Parijoto is a local plant that is found in Indonesia. In Central Java, Parijoto grows a lot in Solo village on the slope of Mount Muria, Kudus Regency. Parijoto is harvested over 4 months after flowering. The taste of Parijoto is fresh and bitter but slightly sour. To better understand, I have a short video about harvesting Parijoto fruit. In the video, my student Yulia and Saada harvested Parijoto at the slope of Mount Muria last year. Bisa di stop? It is a ripe fruit that harvested 3 months after flowering. Parijoto is a wild plant, but now many people plant it as an ornamental plant. It is because Parijoto has beautiful fruit and flowers. Next. People have consumed Parijoto fruit which is eaten fresh or processed into food product, for example, syrup, tisan, tisan is herbal tea, chips, candy, and others. There is, for example, the product, syrup, chips, teh tubruk. Teh tubruk is a tisan tea or herbal tea, and a confectionery Parijoto. Development of Parijoto processing is an application of SDG number 2, Zero Hunger. Development of local plant can improve food security, better nutrition, and sustainable agriculture. And number 2, SDGs number 15, Life on Land. Effort to conserve and utilize local plant support the sustainability of terrestrial ecosystem, biodiversity, and rehabilitation of degraded land. On previous research, Parijoto is a functional food because it contains bioactive compounds like phenolic, flavonoid, tannin, anthocyanin, and cardinolin. Parijoto fruit has the potential as an antioxidant, anti-diabetic, antimicrobial, anti-hyperlipidemia, and anti-cancer. Parijoto fruit has the potential to be purplish red pigment because it contains anthocyanins. The anthocyanins Parijoto fruit extracting used methanol was 173.7 milligram per liter, while with ethanol solvent 0.51 milligram per gram. The anthocyanin pigment of Parijoto found in vacuole. Therefore, in order to be applied on food, it needs to be extracted. One of the extraction methods is ultrasonic assisted extraction. In the illustration, the basic principle of ultrasonic assisted extraction is the formation of cavitation bubbles that increase solvent penetration into cell. When this bubble bursts near the cell wall, a shock wave and jet liquid will be generated and destroyed to this wall. So that component inside the cell can be extracted more effectively. Long-time extraction allows more cavitation bubble to rupture cell until saturated. But anthocyanin is unstable. The anthocyanin structure can be degraded during processing and storage on food, which is indicated by a faded color. Malvidin anthocyanidin will be degraded into toxic chalcone. So the objective of my study is to extract anthocyanin from Parijoto fruit using ultrasonic assisted extraction and evaluated of their stability based on thermal degradation and photo degradation. I have 5 state method, seed research. Number 1, analyzing plant systematics. Number 2, analyzing the phytochemical atau phytochemistry of Parijoto fruit extract using thin layer chromatography. Number 3, extracting using ultrasonic assisted extraction. Number 4, anthocyanin stability based on thermal degradation and photodegradation. And number 5, Parijoto application for food products. My sample Parijoto obtained from CV Seleksi Alam Mulia Kudus Regency Central Java. The extraction steps are as follows. Freeze dryer Parijoto fruit powder extracted using citric acid solvent and ultrasonic bath. Extraction condition are frequency of 40 kHz, temperature of 30 degrees Celsius for 10, 20, 30, 40, and 5 minutes. The filter was concentrated using a rotary vacuum evaporator at 45 degrees Celsius for 5 hours. In the thermal degradation, the sample was heated to 130 degrees Celsius for 55 minutes. In photodegradation, the sample was exposed to the light of 1,000, 3,000, 5,000 lux for 24 hours. It is the illustration of photodegradation. Light is poured in done with a box containing a potentiometer, gas diver, and a fan. The result, number 1 result. Plant systematic aim to identify the authenticity of Parijoto plant. Based on the identification of plant, shown that the plant species is Medinilla speciosa, when the local name is Parijoto. The bottom is written in JavaScript Parijoto using THO, not Parijoto. The result number 2, the phytochemistry of Parijoto fruit extract. Based on the phytochemistry, show that the Parijoto fruit extract contain phenolic, flavonoid, tannin, saponin, terpenoid, and anthocyanin. The result number 3, ultrasonic assisted extraction. Based on extraction result, it showed that the extract is purplish red. Illustration number 1, anthocyanin extract of Parijoto fruit dissolved in water. The table number 1, this table shows that the increase in anthocyanin level is due to the effect of ultrasonic cavitation, which increase swelling, hydration, fragmentation and pore formation in plant tissue. The longer the extraction, the longer the cavitation bubbles break the cell wall so that anthocyanin increase. However, with too long extraction, such as 20 minutes, the anthocyanin levels decrease. It is because sonication creates extreme condition in the cavitation bubble that can cause anthocyanin degradation. The light for you show a negative correlation with the total anthocyanin content in Parachoda fruit extract, while redness and yellowness have a positive correlation. Next. This graphic shows that heating temperature and heating time respectively show a significant effect on the total anthocyanin content. And there was an interaction between the two. The higher the heating time and temperature result in lower anthocyanin level. Based on reaction order table, it shows the anthocyanin degradation reaction follow a first order reaction. It is because the coefficient of determination of first order is greater than zero order. This table shows that the higher temperature, the higher the rate of anthocyanin degradation, while the half-life is lower. This activation energy is relatively low, which means that anthocyanin is easily degraded. The table shows that the higher the light intensity, the lower the half-life of light and dark spores. And number 5, Parachoda application of food products. Number 1, I want to know effect of drying time and temperature on anthocyanin of Parachoda fruit Tisanti. Tisanti is a herbal tea from Parachoda fruit. Drying temperature and time optimization using response surface methodology with a central composite design. For the anthocyanin response, it is indicated that the selected equation model is quadratic model. This is a equation model, where A is time and B is temperature. This is a surface response plot illustrating the interaction of drying time and temperature. The highest anthocyanin is in the red area. Bisa di ini enggak ya? The red area. Jadi the highest anthocyanin is the red area. The red area di atas. Yeah, the highest anthocyanin in the red area with drying time and temperature value of 3 hours and 50 degrees Celsius respectively. The application number 2, I want optimizing fermentation condition and determining the phenolic total phenolic of Parachoda fruit-based kombucha. Kombucha tea is a traditional beverage product resulting from the fermentation of brewed tea and sucrosing using SCOBY starter. SCOBY is a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. The taste is like carbonated effervescent. Jadi, the objective of the study is to assess the phenolic of Parachoda fruit kombucha by optimizing fermentation condition. This condition include fermentation time, sucrose concentration, and SCOBY concentration. And the study used a response surface methodology with box bacon design. For the total phenolic response, it is indicated that the selective equation model is quadratic model. This is equation model. A is fermentation time, B is sucrose concentration, and C is SCOBY concentration. This is a surface response plot illustrating the interaction fermentation time and sucrose concentration. Sucrose concentration sumbu X, and Z is time of fermentation. The highest total phenolic content is in the red area. Nggak bisa di gini-gini. Red area. The highest total phenolic content in the red area, top di atas, ya. With fermentation time and sucrose concentration value of 10 days and 19% respectively. Optimization result show that the optimization fermentation condition are fermentation time of 12.65 days, sucrose concentration of 20.7%, and SCOBY concentration of 7.52%, which produces total phenolic of 10.31 milligram gallic acid equivalent per milli. The desirability was 90%. Conclusion, Parijoto food has a potential source of anthocyanins that can be applied to various food products. However, anthocyanin is unstable. Therefore, research on packaging technology, co-pigmentation, and nano-encapsulation is needed. I hope Parijoto fruit anthocyanin applicated in traditional food to be developed for application in traditional food. For example, kueku, getuk lindri, cenil, dawet, and other. This is addition information. Sorry, this is addition information. In Javanese culture, Parijoto is associated with the traditional beautiful traditional song. The song is full meaning called Sinom Parijoto. Sinom Parijoto, using THO Parijoto, and diabadikan juga dalam lurik atau batik yang bercorak Sinom Parijoto in Indonesia, in Javanese culture. Thank you. I hope my research is useful.
So amazing topics, Pak Bambang. Dear our participant, let us give a round of applause for our two esteemed speakers for their insightful presentation. Okay, before we proceed with the discussion session, let me summarize some point from our two great speaker. Dr. Nur Huda highlight the potential of stem mushroom, which are rich in essential nutrients beneficial to health. These mushrooms are particularly high in dietary fiber and contain valuable fatty acid that support overall well-being. And Dr. Bambang Kunarto highlight the potential of Indonesia local resource Parijoto, a hidden gem with remarkable health benefits. So now we will proceed the discussion session. I will invite the audience or participant to ask question. Please raise hand and open your microphone. Maybe we will wait if there are another question, and we will read the question in the chat box first. First, the question from Professor Haslina. I think this for Dr. Nurhuda. The first question, ma'am, what are the health benefits with the consumption of stem mushroom as a dietary fiber, and what the limitation and challenges in developing stem mushroom as a source of dietary fiber? Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you for the questions. Okay, actually, dietary fiber, as we know, is very important to our health, especially insoluble fiber to prevent the constipations, and soluble fiber normally they will reduce the cholesterol or regulate the blood sugar in human bodies. Okay, so that's why we need dietary fiber in our foods. Okay, so what are the limitations of and challenges in developing a stem mushroom? In fact, when we increase the mushroom stem in the formulation, okay, the texture of the meat product becomes softer, so we need some percentage, and mostly we add the mushroom or mushroom stem in the meat product not more than 50%. If more than 50%, normally the texture they become rupture and become very soft. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nurhuda, and maybe Prof. Haslina, is there any question or enough?
Enough.
Enough.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you very much, Dr. Nurhuda.
Okay, you are most welcome, Doctor.
Okay. The next second question, ma'am. Please answer from Mrs. Antonia Cahyani.
Wait.
Sorry. The second question, ma'am, from Mrs. Antonia Cahyani. Which is suitable for us to reuse this material to food matrix? Is it must be extracted from the food matrix or become dried or pasta form? Please, ma'am.
Actually, from my study and also my reading, it depends on the product. Okay, my study in the meat product, normally we directly or fresh from raw mushroom stem, because we want the texture of the stem itself mimics to the meat product. But however, some study shows they use powdered form because they want a fine texture and smooth texture like pasta. They want smooth texture. They don't want like mixed texture and so on. So my opinion is it depends on the food product. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Do my answer your
Question, ma'am.
question?
Please, from Mrs. Antonia Nani, is it possible, ma'am, to applicate to noodles relate with its high capability in absorb water and influence the gel forming? Maybe influence the optimal cooking or others? Please share your opinion, ma'am.
Yeah, actually, for me, my opinion is it's possible to add the mushroom stem into the noodle, but we need to study the how many percentage that the mushroom stem possible to be added to the noodle. Because if you add more or maybe after 30%, the noodle become soggy or become very soft or don't have any texture of the noodle. So this is my experience and also based on my reading. Okay. So in terms of cooking, yeah, some temperature will affect the cooking and texture, but we need to study more.
Okay, thank you. Maybe another question, Mrs. Nani.
It's enough, Bu
Okay.
Gita. That's clear. Thank you, Dr. Nur.
Okay, you're
Yeah.
most welcome.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Nani and Dr. Nurhuda. And the next question, ma'am, from Mr. Farhan for Dr. Nurhuda. He have two questions. Why we choose gray oyster mushroom gum, and the precaution that need to be taken during processing. First, apart from being widely grown in Malaysia and being able to mimic the texture of meat, why do we use gum rather than other types of mushroom? Does any research prove that gum is accepted in the term of sensory attributes rather than other species? And the second question, do gum prone the thermal abuse like meat, since meat needs specific temperature to avoid chill injuries? Please, ma'am.
Okay, the first questions. Why we use gray oyster mushroom than other type of mushroom? Yes, of course, because in the world, actually, gray oyster mushroom is the most grown rather than other mushrooms. So, logically, when they are the most grown, the waste is the most rather than other mushroom. So in Malaysia, yeah, the grey oyster mushroom is the most grown rather than the other mushroom. Okay, so we want to avoid more food loss. Okay. So the second one is, does any research prove that grey oyster mushroom is accepted in terms of sensory attribute rather than species? Yeah, most of the product, most of the research, they do a variety of the mushroom in term of product, like most meat, I think meat nugget and so on. But sometimes they like enoki, but sometimes they like mushroom, grey oyster mushroom. But it depends on the product. What product you want to add the mushroom. But for grey oyster mushroom is acceptable. Okay. The second question.
Okay, I think enough, Mr. Farhan, or another question?
No question. Thank you, Dr. Huda.
Okay, you're most welcome, Farhan. Thank you for listening my lecture.
Thank you also, Dr.
Okay, welcome.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Farhan and Dr. Nurhuda. And we move to the second speaker. First question from Professor Haslina, Pak Bambang. How does the stability and bioavailability of Parijoto anthocyanin pigments that affect their potential as a dietary supplement or functional food ingredients?
Thank you. The question, Prof. Haslina. Anthocyanin is unstable. It is true. To increase stability and bioavailability by co-pigmentation and nanoencapsulation, the nanoencapsulation extract will be trapped the wall material so that becomes stable, more stable. And the co-pigmentation occurs when the flavium receives electrons from a co-pigment that has free electron, so that electron balance occurs. Jadi lebih stabil. Begitu.
Is it enough, Professor Haslina? Enough, okay. Thank you. And the second question for Pak Bambang from Fareza Ilham. First question is there a statistically significant difference in anthocyanin content between Parijoto fruit that cultivate in Kudus and those grown outside of Java? And the second question, does the anthocyanin content in Parijoto fruit go a decrease after being processed into derivative products, maybe such as kombucha and others? And what methods can be employed to minimize this change?
It's the same, the question number one, ya? Sepertinya. Repeat again, please.
Please repeat me.
Okay. On the first question, is there a statistically significant difference in anthocyanin content between Parijoto that cultivated in Kudus and in other area, Pak Bambang?
Yeah, Fareza, you are my student. Parijoto planted in Central Java, example Jepara, Kudus, Gunung Merapi, Merapi Slope, and Bandungan, has the same species, namely Medina speciosa. But the characteristics are different. It is because the environmental factors, for example, climate, soil type, growth height, and others.
Okay, thank you, Pak Bambang. Fareza, is it another question or enough?
Yes.
Enough. Okay, thank you. And the next question from Mrs. Nani for Dr. Bambang. According to the unstable characteristic of Parijoto, is it possible to use as coloring agent in fermented food that usually that were acidic? Thus, it will be stable in acidic environment. Bu Nani, can you speak?
Oh ya, thank you, Bu Mita. Halo Pak Bambang.
Halo.
I'm sorry I'd like to have your opinion about the application of unstable Parijoto. You have said before, you have told us before. Is it possible to applicate and fermented product, especially dairy-based fermented product that are usually in acidic condition, Pak Bang. Mohon pencerahan Pak Bambang. Thank you.
In previous research, fermentation meningkatkan fenolik, justru meningkatkan fenolik sehingga kalau dibandingkan Parijoto fresh and fermented Parijoto lebih tinggi kemampuan antioksidan dan fenolik dari kombucha fermented product. Apakah ini menjawab ya?
Maksud saya agak berbeda, Bapak. Agak berbeda, maksudnya fermentasi, produk-produk fermentasi asam, Bapak, biasanya. Kemudian parijoto itu kan Bapak katakan tadi tidak stabil, kadang tidak stabil. Nah, apakah itu aplikabel ketika kita pengen memanfaatkan parijoto di fermented product, Bapak?
Oke, Mrs. Nani. Jadi, sorry ya, saya in Indonesia. Jadi, fenolik, fenolik dari parijoto tidak hanya antosianin, Ibu Nani. Banyak sekali di situ fenolik, flavonoid, golongan fenolik, flavonoid, dan kandriolin yang tidak hanya antosianin. Jadi antosianin memang dia mampu menurunkan elektron sebagai antosidan, tetapi antosidannya tidak hanya itu. Jadi kemungkinan kalau fermentasi, ketidakstabilan dari antosianin itu adalah karena panas, karena cahaya, tadi ya saya sampaikan ya. pH asam juga menunjukkan lebih stabil daripada yang baca terhadap pada antosianin. Begitu, Ibu.
Ya, baik Bapak, sangat jelas. Terima kasih. Berarti bisa diaplikasikan ke produk fermentasi saya, Bapak. Jadi ide, Bapak. Terima kasih.
Jadi antosianin lebih stabil in acid daripada di basah.
Oh iya, baik Bapak. Terima kasih.
Okay, thank you Bu Nani for the question and Dr. Bambang. I think the next question from Mr. Farhan Bapak for Pak Bambang. I will refer this question to Dr. Bambang. Does any research prove yang membuktikan bahwa parijoto fruit can be used as bactericidal or bacteriostatic agent as it has antimicrobial and bioactive compound?
This is the question. I know that dari awal. Oh ya, dari tadi saya sampaikan on previous research, parijoto fruit has a potential antioxidant, antibiotic, diabetic, antimicrobial, but itu adalah penelitian orang lain, jadi memang bidang saya adalah antioksidan, jadi saya memang tidak mempelajari dan membuka secara detail tentang antimikrobial yang ditanyakan.
Yeah, okay, thank you for the great question for our all participants, but we have the limit time. I think we will close the discussion session. From our great speaker, we have so many new insights. Thank you for Dr. Nur Huda and Dr. Bambang. With that, we have closed our discussion session. We extend our sincere gratitude to our two esteemed speakers for sharing their valuable insight, as well as to all participants for their active engagement. Please participants to fill in the attendance form to get certificate. And as the moderator, I apologize for any shortcoming during this session. Thank you once again, and we look forward to seeing you in future session. Now I will hand the session back to the MC. Thank you, Bu Aldila.
Wow, amazing today. So we can give big applause for our speaker and our moderator today. Okay, thank you. Now, We have a granting certificate online to our speaker and our dean. Mr. Erwin, are you ready to share certificate to our speaking for Dr. Nur Huda and Dr. Bambang, and to our dean, Professor Haslina? Okay, first certificate online. This is certified to Professor Dr. Haslina as an opening speech. Thank you, Professor Haslina. And then the second certificate to Dr. Bambang Kunarto. And the last for Dr. Nur Huda Faujan. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you for Dr. Nur Huda and Dr. Bambang Kunarto for sharing your valuable insights on sustainable food technology innovation. We have learned a lot from your presentation, and I am sure our audience participant has found it insightful and informative. Before we say goodbye, I would like to take a moment to get the conclusion about webinar today. So there are many benefits of mushrooms and parijoto fruit, such as high fiber antioxidant and antimicrobial, omega-6, high nutritional value, anthocyanin, pigment of food, and many phenolic compound for parijoto fruit, such as candy, syrup, and another. So we also like to thank the audience for the participants and interest in webinar today. We believe that the information presented here will be beneficial to all who attend. We hope that this webinar will inspire you to take action toward your goals. Thank you again for joining us today. We appreciate your time and hope to see you again soon. Goodbye everyone, and thank you. And I say wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Nur Huda.
Okay, welcome. Thank you for inviting me also.
Thank you, Dr. Bambang, and our participant. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, Dr. Nur Huda. Oh, sudah ditutup ya?
Okay, welcome,
Dr. Nur Huda Faujan. See you next time
Inshallah.
for different topic.
Okay.
And thank you, Dr. Bambang Kunarto, Mrs. Aldila, Dr. Mita, Nurul Askia. The material is very interesting as functional food and benefit to health for all people. Thank you very much for your participation this morning until the day. Bye.
Tersusun rangkaian hubungan, tanggung jawab dan keterbukaan, bergandeng tangan kita berjalan bersama-sama, kita abdikan. Jangan hati berinovasi membangun negeri, membangun negeri. Jangan hati berinovasi membangun negeri, membangun negeri dengan hati. Bukti bakti yang tersampaikan menjadi karya dan cahaya. jembatan masa depan kita, mari bersama kita jaga. Dengan hati berinovasi membangun negeri,